Hey guys, and welcome back. Well, on last week, there was a hearing on the centennial of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. If you saw the movie Rosewood, played starring Ving Rhames and Don Cheadle, and this was the real, what I call the real Rosewood. They always said that story was true. Well, it was pretty much based on um, this massacre. Now, the Greenwood District in Tulsa came to be known as the Black Wall Street. It was one of the most commercially successful and affluent majority African American community in the United States. Now, this was during the Jim Crow era. African Americans were not allowed to make purchases or services in predominantly white areas. Now, there's only three living survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre, and they appeared in a hearing for the Senate asking for reparations. And, 2021 marks the centennial of this attack happening in 1921, in which white mob attacked black residents, homes, businesses. And I mean, they had their own everything. They had their own banks, schools, and they were nourishing and they were successful business men and women. And these three survivors shared their childhood experiences and life following this massacre. Now, Viola Fletcher, who is 107 years old, said that she lives through the massacre every day. She said how she told about how the massacre affected her life afterwards. She says she only finished school through the fourth grade and she was a domestic worker for most of her life. Now, her brother, who is still living, he appeared at the Senate and he spoke. He is 100 years old and his name is Hughes Van Ellis. Now, he said, "We are not asking for a handout, we're just asking for justice." Now, Leslie Benningfield Randall, she spoke remotely and accused the city and local uh, entities of fundraising and profiting off the massacre without permission or considerations to the survivors. Now, she said they owe us something. They owe me something. My opportunities were taken from me. Civil rights activists and also testified on systemic racism, reparations, and the role the local and state government played in the massacre. I think the most influential and powerful testimony was from Viola Fletcher, who is, like I said, is 107 years old. Now, Miss Viola said, "I am the daughter of Lucinda and Don Ford, and I am a survivor of the Tolls, a race massacre. 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 107th birthday. Today, I'm visiting Washington, D.C. for the first time in my entire life, and here I'm seeking justice and asking my country to acknowledge the Tulsa in 1921. On May 31st, I went to bed in my family's home in Greenwood. My family was rich in heritage and culture. My family had a beautiful house, great neighbors, and I had friends to play with. I had everything a child could need and a bright future ahead of me. Still, it had given me the chance to truly make it in this country. Within a few hours, all of that was gone. Now, the night of the massacre, I was awakened. My family, my parents, and five siblings were there. I was told we had to leave, and that was it. I never forgot the violence of the white mob when we left her home, I still see black men being shy and black bodies lying in the street. I still smell smoke and streetcars and black people crying and the screams, and I live to the massacre every day. But I cannot and will not, and our descendants do not. When my family was forced to leave Tulsa, I lost my chance at an education and never passed the fourth grade. I never made much money in my country, in my state or city, to spend time in the shipyards of California and those serving the families, and never made much money that to this day I can barely afford my everyday needs. All the while, the city of Tulsa to use the name and story of the victims like me to enrich myself, one, to enrich themselves. I am 107 years old and never seen justice. And I praise one day I will. I was blessed with a long life and have seen the best and the worst of this country. And I think of the terror and the horror on black people in this country every day. This subcommittee has the power to lead us down the path. Ask that my country acknowledge what happened to me, the tremors, the pain, and the loss, with the survivors and the descendants given a chance to seek to open the doors. All of you know how easy it is to deny that, to take your property. For 70 years, the city of Tulsa, the Chamber of Commerce, told us that the massacre did not happen. We did not see it with her own eyes. You see me here right now and my brother. We live this history and we cannot ignore it. We lost everything that day: homes, churches, newspapers, and theaters. Greenwood represented of what was possible for black people in America. No one cared about us. For almost 100 years, we in our history have that we must recognize us for the black America and white Americans for some justice. Thank you. And after that speech, it was met with applause. Yes, they're seeking reparations for this massacre. And I, for one, I truly believe they should get it. They should get it. And not, not only them, but what this country has done to black Americans. I mean, it's just awful. It's sad. And I guess they thought, they didn't teach us this in American history. I don't know about you, and I grew up in the 70s and 80s and graduated. And I never heard about this until the movie came out. And I think the movies was in the 90s it came out. But it was so tragic that, and it's damned if you don't. We've always been told that we were slaves and we couldn't do this, we couldn't learn to read, and here in 1921, when some blacks was not even able to get education, or what have you, vote, what have you, and here was a thriving predominantly black neighborhood that had they had people, they had their own banks, their own schools. They were doing it for themselves, professionals. And just one night just was burnt down. Racism, hatred. Mm. And I will be watching to see if they do give them reparations. I most certainly think they deserve it. And then you think about the Tuskegee experiment, where they knew these men had syphilis and they knew how to treat it, but they were they used humans as lab rats to see the destruction of syphilis would have on your body. That affected their wives, their children were born blind and with birth defects, and uh, you know, and this is what our government did. Do you think that these three survivors should get reparations? And if you don't, please let me know why. Yeah. Sad. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, in parting, be blessed, y'all.